He is the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, who also happens to be the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. He is Dan Quinn, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
Rich, I'm doing well, man. I enjoy being on with you too. It's a good time, man. Training camp is here, and we got football in Georgia, man. We're doing good.
You still have the now clocks on the wall, where there are no numbers. It says just now. It's half past now, quarter past now, quarter to now. You got that still?
Yeah, it's a 25 past now, just about right now.
Is that? Do you do the traffic with the nows too? I mean, I don't know if it's just traffic, weather, time. You do it all together on the nows.
Yep. Not yet, but I think you're on it.
Okay.
The way to, man, make sure where we're at is the most important thing. So, man, you got a good memory, brother.
Yeah, man. It's just a fun thing that I saw years ago, and it's a great coaching tool. I mean, how many times can you tell people to focus on the moment, don't look over the steering wheel, take it play by play? I mean, that's the perfect way to do it, right?
That is, brother. I said to him the other day, today wins a hell of a lot more than tomorrow. Whatever you got to do, let's bust your ass, get it right today. Don't wait, don't put it off. Like, if you got something, even at practice, hey, man, I need to see that play again. I'd rather we get another look at it than, hey, let's wait till we get into film and then we'll give it another shot tomorrow. Like, there's another look at something. Like, let's do it now, man. Like, let's not wait to see what it would look like on film. Like, let's go for it again and see where we're at. I think when you have that mindset, like, hey, man, go for it. Right now, don't wait on it.
Well, if we use your initials, your business card would read like an eye chart: DQHCDC. So are you? Why'd you add defensive coordinator back to your duties?
Well, it's for me, that's one of the things. I've had so much background on the defensive side, and so I thought we just maybe weren't hitting the mark as I hoped we could. And I wanted to make sure I was going to provide, what that would look like and how it should feel. And so I thought, at this point, no better person to do that than me, because if we don't get that part right in terms of the intensity and the way we want to play and the tackling, the physicality, the pressuring on the quarterback, a lot of teams play a lot of similar things. The other 31 teams play 3 deep or man-to-man, but it just has to be the way that we play it. And I love this group, and I just wanted to make sure that we're hitting the mark in all spots, and I thought that was the way I could help the team the best.
Well, how does that reconfigure the way you delegate on game day then?
Yeah, it did a little bit, and so it was kind of a couple-step process, Rich, due to that, because in order for me to spread some time over onto the defensive side, it was going to take, having guys who had the experience of Dirk Cutter or Mike Mularkey, and so now he and Mike and Raheem Morris, who have, huge background on the offensive side. Greg Knapp's been a, offensive coordinator for a long time. So I wanted to hire somebody that could kind of bridge that time between game management and defense, and that person is Bob Sutton. So, just from covering the league through the years,
oh, yeah.
huge experience, like Bob's so smart and has perspective. So when I approached him about the position, I said I could really, use it here to help partner up with me on some of the game management things that we could talk through and discuss together. So what we decided to do, Rich, we put a group together of us, Dirk, myself, Bob, Mike Mularkey, Raheem, and a few others, a special teams coach. And so each Tuesday morning for an hour, getting together all around the league, the game management topics, and together, tried to establish, our own guidelines, and then did them all during the OTAs. And each training camp practice, we try to put the guys in as many of those spaces as we can. And so I wouldn't have been able to do that had it not been for guys like, Dirk Cutter or Mike Markey or Bob Sutton to help me in those spaces where, if I was going to take on a bigger role in the defense, there wasn't going to be a spot that was not going to get the attention it deserved. And so that's how we went about it.
Well, now Dan Quinn, Atlanta Falcons head coach here and defensive coordinator on the Rich Eisen Show. Now you have the added responsibility, too, of deciding whether or not to challenge pass interference, because that rule, for 1 year at least, has been changed. I've got Al River on, the head of NFL refs, I'm sure who you speak to on a somewhat regular basis during the season, if not off season. He's about to stroll in here in studio hour number 2. What is going to be your approach, philosophy on when to throw a challenge flag on this? Certainly when you've got a front row seat, especially as the HCDC of your team.
I think, Rich, remember when we kind of changed the rule of the catch, we just wanted to have clear guidelines of what it was. So if you had 2 feet down or, in a football movement, Where was the third step? And I thought Al and the league, especially Al and the management council, were very clear on what a catch is. If you remember, there was a couple times, like, all the way back from like Des Bryant against Green Bay, like, man, that looks like a catch. And so what I thought the league did a really good job of is they were very clear. So any fan or people watching it could say that was a catch or that wasn't a catch. And so I think what people were trying to get to with OPI or DPI, how is that going to be called? And I thought Al and the group did a very good job of what was OPI and DPI. And to their credit, they went around to every team and then almost put you on the hot seat. What do you think? Yes, no, and put 20 calls together, and then took all of that feedback, went back, met again, and so we all have good guidelines for what it is. I think it's good that they didn't put it, where it goes inside of 2 minutes. I think that should be reviewable, like up in the box, like everything else. So I know it was a big topic, and I thought the best thing they did was make it clear of what they were looking for, and it had better be obvious and clear that it's either OPI or DPI. And once you know that, then you have the confidence to challenge, just like you would any other things that for us as head coaches are challengeable.
So I got to be honest with you, Coach. We were in that position too. We being the NFL Media Group, when Al Riveron came and addressed the NFL Media Group symposium in June, and he did the same thing with us. Hey, he would show play. Is this offensive pass interference, defensive pass interference? Would you throw a flag in real time? Would you put one down through replay? Would you pick one up through replay? And there was no consensus. And, obviously we watch football for a living, but we also had Hall of Fame players and Hall of Fame receivers and defenders in that room, and we never agreed on it once. Not a single time.
What I thought. If it's not clear, then it shouldn't be one that can be overturned. And so that's, to me, where it got. I'm glad that you guys did that exercise too, man, because it was definitely
tough.
One you're like, and when you have the one that says, I don't know, well, if there's one that's like, I don't know, then it's not.
Right. So were you a coach that raised your hand during whatever meetings amongst the coaches or competition committee or at the owners saying, yes, let's do this. Let's do this with replay?
I thought, let's do this. And so together there was a number of different concepts. Okay, is it the whole game? Is it every foul? It was this year at the owners meeting, it was one of the most engaging ones I've been a part of, and I enjoyed it because here were the other 32 coaches talking about ideas. What about this? What's the consequence of that? Like, just think about, like, end of the game on a Hail Mary, okay, like all the contact that takes place on that. Is that reviewable? Like all the ones that coaches thought of to say, well, I'll just throw a Hail Mary and see if it can get a PI on it. If there's 9 seconds left and there's still another play. And so hearing people talk about finding ways to go about attacking something, I thought it was awesome. What I ended up coming to is if it's the ticky-tacky call where I'm not sure if it was or you're not sure if it was, then it's not. And so if it's clear where there was like a mistake that was made on the field and this is a way to fix it, then I think then it's a good rule and why it's in play. So the ones that could be or couldn't be, I don't think those are worth the challenge. They're too valuable sometimes to have that timeout. Rich, you need it right at the end of the half, at the end of the moment. And so having that timeout, you can imagine what 20 or 30 seconds of time means inside of a minute of a game. You better be pretty sure that the flag that you've thrown, you're going to be, very good chance that it's going to get overturned.
Last few minutes left with Dan Quinn, Falcons head coach and defensive coordinator here on the Rich Eisen Show. When do we see Julio Jones back on the field, or for the first time on the field with pads, ready to roll, fully blown member of...
He's running full speed, and he's getting some routes in with Matt and the guys. So I'd say we're taking him all the way through the process when he can hit all the routes, full speed, no pain and anything. He's just done a good job. He had a procedure done, and he just wanted to make sure all the healing and everything was good. So we've got time. We're probably still, a couple of weeks away from him being, at his top self. But it's not too far away where he'll be back there, on the field in a full-time capacity.
Now, what obviously you can't inject yourself into it, but the contract stuff. I mean, right. It's out there. What can you as the coach do?
Well, I think what I try to do, whether it's Julio or years ago with Matt or this year with Dion and Grady, is make sure that I keep the lines of communication open as their coach. And I'm not involved on the negotiating side or anything from their spot, but I always wanted to make sure if they ever, something was on their mind or about them, they wanted to talk through about it. But like in Grady's case, we had lots of conversations, but none of it was about his contract. It was about the team and about what we're doing and where's your training. And, so many of those are just football conversations that I enjoy with the players. So with Julio through the summer, it was the same thing. Not only is he a great player, Rich, but one of the things that probably you don't get to talk about as often as you do is, like, he's a great teammate. And all the guys, not everybody's going to be a great player in the team, but you can be a great teammate. When you have the players that are both, they're multipliers, because Julio doesn't just affect the other wide receivers, but, like, he'll go in and visit with the offensive line. He'll talk to a corner about a technique that they were doing against him. And so he has this way to connect with others behind the scenes that is very unique. And so great player, but when you combine both of them, he's a great player, but also a great teammate. His impact that he has on the locker room is significant. So for him to be here, and although he's not practicing, full with the guys yet, his impact is just the same. He's able to do all the walkthroughs at night. He's in all the meetings. So he's able to find his way, Rich, with the guys. And it is one of the things I really admire about him off the field, how he takes a real intentional approach with his teammates.
Well, I know you got to get going, so let me just do two quick hitters with you here. Devontae Freeman, how does he look to you?
Yeah, the energy and that Freeman has brought back into the game, it's contagious. And, some of those people that you're around that always bring the energy, and you walk in, and you're like, hey, Free, what's up? You ready to go? And on the field, the matchups are as hard as you can imagine for the linebackers and the safeties, not just in the run game, but the pass game as well. So he looks like himself, back full, doing well. So Freeman's doing well. I know you had a follow-up one. Who was the second guy?
The second thing is your quarterback, Matt Ryan. I'm going to use my last minute with you for me.
Yep.
Coach, I've been trying to change his nickname from Matty Ice to the Natural for years. He finally told me to move on.
You let it go.
Really, like Frozen, let it go? I mean, I
think so.
Really? Because I was going to try to appeal to you to just call him that once in a meeting, just see if it sticks. You know what I mean? Like, just if his head coach does it, maybe I still have a chance here.
And it was the Natural?
Yeah, the Natural.
Yeah, I can't co-sign for that one either, I got to say. But I would say this.
Yes.
Like, anything with him that has a nickname that has one hell of a competitor, a guy who will go after you, that's Matt Ryan. So that's why I don't think the Natural kind of fits him, because, like, if you line up wrong, Rich, you're going to get your ass ripped. So I don't know if the Natural would do that.
Well, he's naturally competitive is basically, I mean, there's many different ways to use this, Coach, but maybe, hey, just tell Dirk Cutter, name a new play, the Natural, and see how it goes. See how it flies.
That I can work on.
Ah, fantastic. Thanks for the call, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll chat down the line. Have a good rest of your summer.
Thanks, Rich.
You got it. That's Dan Quinn, Falcons head coach.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.